National Park on the North Carolina-Tennessee border. It actually ends at the border between Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Cherokee Indian Reservation in Cherokee, North Carolina. Both Shenandoah and the Great Smokies parks were authorized in the 1920s and opened in the 1930s as part of an effort to bring national parks nearer to population centers. 4 Civilian Conservation Corps camps worked on roadside cleanup, roadside plantings, graded slopes, and improved fields and forest lands. Construction of the parkway took over 52 years to complete, and the last stretch near Lynn Cove Viaduct was laid in 83 and completed in 1987. And the parkway consists of 27 tunnels, and we'll get into more of the detail around the tunnels here in a little bit. One of the neat things about the Blue Ridge Parkway is it actually gives you the opportunity to drive on the most complicated segmental bridge ever built. The Lynn Cove Viaduct is a bridge built off the side of a mountain near Boone, North Carolina. It skirts the slopes of Grandfather Mountain, and it's really a breathtaking scene, especially during the fall. The Lynn Cove Viaduct wasn't constructed just to be beautiful. It was designed to protect the fragile environment of Grandfather Mountain, which is an international biosphere reserve. It's the first bridge in America to be built from the top down to protect the environment. It's won 11 design awards, including the Presidential Award for Design Excellence for the National Endowment for the Arts, and it's one of the most popular spots along the Blue Ridge Parkway, and travelers can stop at the Lynn Cove Visitor Center to view a model and learn more about the construction techniques used in developing the viaduct. And again, it was built this way because tunneling through Grandfather Mountain or building a traditional road around Grandfather Mountain would have caused, in the opinion of those involved in the project, unacceptable environmental damage. While the parkway itself is pretty easy to drive on, that's not necessarily the case for the roads leading up to and down from the parkway itself. The parkway runs along the ridge line, but the roads accessing it have to go up and down the sides of the mountains. And this is Highway 80 coming out of Marion, North Carolina, going up toward the parkway. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of switchback turns. It's pretty steep and narrow. So you have to be careful which route you take going up there. I think most smaller Class Cs, some Class A's would be just fine. This is the absolute perfect environment for anybody traveling in a Class B van. Easy access and lots of places for those sorts of campers to park along the parkway. Hey guys, I'm Warren.
I'm Maureen.
And we're RV Dare Yet. Welcome back. We're glad you joined us again for another video. Sorry for our long absence. Hopefully it won't be so long in the future. Some of the reasons why we've been absent have been without our control, and some of them, frankly, haven't been. So, Maureen, why don't you bring us up to speed on where we've been and what we've been up to?
Well, since we last talked to you all, we've sold our Airstream. It was a difficult decision, but mostly because of the floor plan. We had a front bedroom, Airstream Limited. It was a 27-foot. And it really was not as comfortable as we would have liked. Mm-hmm. And we've always along been considering full-time, so that was one of our thoughts, that it just wasn't quite roomy.
Didn't have enough storage.
Right.
Well, it didn't have enough storage for what we thought we might need if we were to ever go full-time down the road. It had plenty. We loved it for weekends, short trips, rallies, that sort of thing. And we have plenty of friends that full-time in Airstreams. And
it's smaller than 27.
Yeah, but just, I think that's kind of a personal thing. For us personally, it didn't feel like we had enough storage to go full-time in. What else?
Also, the reason was Warren's mobility changed, and so hitching the rig became more and more difficult for him. So,
Yeah, we had a Hensley hitch, which is an anti-sway hitch. It works great. I mean, the Airstream tows like a dream. But trying to get this thing hitched is sometimes a difficult process. You have to get a stinger down the throat of a receiver, and it takes multiple, sometimes a dozen, it felt like, trips back and forth to the truck trying to get this thing hitched up. And it got to the point where it was just more painful than it was enjoyable.
So, but one thing that made it even more difficult was our friends with the Airstream group. So I wanted to mention that made it really difficult, because those folks, from the very first time we met them, were really made us feel welcome. So.
Yeah, so we had talked about, maybe someday going full time, that sort of thing, and then God threw us a curveball, meaning us personally as well as the world generally. COVID hit, so all the campgrounds shut down. It was very difficult to travel. RV prices started spiking, so we basically made a decision to we'll just cool our jets for a little while and let things settle down. Right?
And it really wasn't a difficult process, so we were very, very fortunate with that. So now we've been able to really look at all different kinds of rigs, from fifth wheels to travel trailers, and so we're not certainly looking for other options.
Yeah, and then so God threw us a personal curveball. I went to donate blood. I went to check in, and my heart rate was 36, and I thought, well, that's kind of an aberrant deal. It's no big deal. Woke up the next morning, it was still 36. Blood pressure was crazy. I knew from my medical training I better go get some help with that, so went to a large hospital in Charlotte. The short answer is ended up with a pacemaker. Very, very thankful for everybody who took care of me. The good news is there's no other problems with the heart. It was simply an electrical issue. That's all been sorted out now. I feel great. I feel terrific.
Better than before.
A lot better.
So actually, that's a blessing in itself.
Yeah. The downside of that is the pacemaker is a little bit incompatible with where I used to work. Worked in an aerospace manufacturing plant, and some of the machines that we use there use voltages up to 30,000 volts. And according to the
not too compatible with a brand new pacemaker.
Yeah, because according to the pacemaker manufacturer, the safe standoff distance is 1 meter per 100 volts. So that means I could basically work across the street in the employee parking lot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work out too good. So now we have a new plan.
Yeah, because retirement came a little sooner than we had expected.
Yeah, so we basically decided to make lemons into lemonade, make the best of the situation, and look on it as an unplanned opportunity rather than a problem. And so we've made the decision, I think. That,
the biggest decision.
Yeah, that we're going to go full-time now rather than just a few years down the road. I mean, I think the challenges that we've had recently were just kind of the catalyst we needed to kind of get off the dime and get moving.
Yeah, so exciting times. So that, of course, precipitates getting a plan, and then we're continuing looking for a rig. So
yeah. So where are we in the process?
Well, right now we've begun clearing out the stuff that we have in the house, like everybody, and watched several folks. The process can be difficult, but we're up for it. And honestly, at this point, I don't think it'll take that long.
No.
So.
As those of you who have followed our other videos know, we've had several different other kinds of rigs: Class A, fifth wheel, the Airstream. We rented a C, hybrids, tent camps. We have a pretty good understanding of all the different options that are out there. So we're evaluating the pluses and minuses of all of them, and they all do have pluses and minuses. At the moment, we're really interested in Super Cs, the Super C RVs, and one of the big reasons there is the safety aspect. I worked as a medic in Charlotte for several years and responded to way more auto accidents than I ever plan to or ever want to again. And the safety that's built into a Super C is a real attraction, because they're built on a commercial they're built on a commercial truck chassis. And so the cab, the chassis, all that stuff has NHTSA crash ratings. You have crumple zones, airbags. It's like it's a commercial truck that just happens to have a motorhome built onto the back of it.
Yeah. So, but he's got me sold on the safety aspect.
Yeah.
But we are still looking at Class A's.
Yep, absolutely.
That's still something that whatever out there, we're looking at this point.
So, Maureen, what's the one thing you look forward to the most about full-time as you start thinking about doing that?
Well, I think the ability to go when we want and where we want and for how long we want. We won't be on anybody's schedule but our own. Mm-hmm. And because we've watched a lot of folks and their travels, and that is something I definitely am looking forward to doing.
And what makes you the most anxious about this change?
What makes me the most anxious is, I think, walking away from the sticks and bricks. So that really is...
I'm sure everybody that does this goes through
everybody. I mean, I know I'm not alone, but I think, fully committing to it, and when you're on the road, I don't want to miss home, because home's actually where I know is going to be where Warren is and where we go. Mm-hmm. So, I know it in my head, but I think ultimately, making that break is going to be important. But that's what I'm just a little...
Well, it's really kind of like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, like a paratrooper. Like you can worry about it and plan for it and think about it and worry about it. But as soon as you step off the ramp,
as long as you've made it safe,
there's really nothing else to worry about.
Right, but as long as you've thought everything out, you've done your planning, you've done everything you need, so definitely.
So what's the single most thing you'll miss about the sticks and bricks?
Oh, I think for me, I really enjoy our birds that are outside. They are regular visitors that come. I love listening to them and feeding them, but I think right off the top of my head is what.
Is there a certain place that you want to visit that's like at the top of your bucket list?
The top of my bucket list is going to be, I think I want to go to the Northeast. For me, now we've been to the West and I absolutely love it, but I think getting to New England is really something that I'm looking forward to personally.
Okay. How do you plan to make new friends on the road and stay in touch with people back home?
Well, that's what we have for the internet for. I think one thing that COVID has taught us is the ability you can talk to anybody from anywhere, all over the world. So Zoom or FaceTime or Messenger, it's something that we can do a lot.
Yep.
So it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the one thing that keeps you awake at night?
The thing that keeps me the most awake at night is trying to figure out what I might be missing. Donald Rumsfeld very famously said there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. And it's the unknown unknowns that I worry about. Something that I know I need to plan for, I can plan for. But if you don't know that you might be stepping onto that potential problem, you don't know. So just trying to figure out all the potential pitfalls and try to plan around it. That's really the most stressful for me right now.
Then what are you the most excited about doing full-time?
I think the same thing you are. Not having to be back, quote unquote, home at a certain time. Being able to travel on our own schedule, where we want to go, when we want to go, stay for as long as we want to stay. We've never ever had that ability, and I really look forward to that.
Wonderful. And then what place is the top of your bucket list?
Oh, well, we really love the Paradise Valley of Montana, down south of Livingston. We'll be definitely headed back there, but the number one place that's at the top of my bucket list is to go to Banff in Alberta.
Yes.
And that's, again, tied to COVID. It's been a little bit difficult with the whole border situation. That seems to be improving, but that's definitely
at the top of my list. I said, the West was a wonderful place, and so getting back out there is
Yeah.
going to be. And another question: what do you think makes full-time living a relatively easy change for you?
Well, I think what makes it easier for me than for Maureen is I've lived and worked so many places around the world. I've worked in over 28 different countries, lived in hotel rooms, condos, ships, man camps, you name it. So to me, a house is really just a place to lay my head down, to be close to work. I don't really have as much of an emotional connection to a house than maybe Maureen does. So I think that's why it'll be an easier transition for me.
So we each have our challenges.
Yeah.
And then what do you think you'll miss most about your sticks and bricks that you're saying that you don't? Yeah.
No,
what do you miss most?
No, what I miss the most is we having a fenced-in backyard and being able to just, open the door, let the dogs go out and do their business if it's bad weather, cold, whatever, and not necessarily have to grab a leash and go out there with them.
Yeah.
That I will definitely miss.
Yeah, so we'll be working that out.
Yeah. So again, if you guys have any guidance, wisdom, experiences that you would like to share in the comments below, please do that. So we're going to call that a wrap.
Yep.
We really appreciate you sticking around, checking back in with us. We hope it won't be such a long delay before the next one.
And we appreciate you stopping by. So again, be sure if you want to see more, click the subscribe button and also the bell for notifications when we do put up another video. So it's been great to be back again.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you on the road.